They have a pretty new, magnificent arena, as you probably have heard, and we're getting exact numbers out, but we're either close to or over 1 million people wanting to go.
They're so excited about it that you have no idea, and we have had so many sign-ups. You know, there are lines of people now, and we won't be there for 3 days. They have lines of people right now trying to get into the arena. I mean, they'll be there. They'll be early. Over 1 million people requested tickets. Well, there's just a hunger for the rallies.
The event in Oklahoma is unbelievable. The crowds are unbelievable. They haven't seen anything like it. And we will go there now. We'll give a hopefully good speech. We're going to see a lot of great people, a lot of great friends, and pretty much that's it, okay?
I have a great feeling that we're going to see 100,000 MAGA supporters down there just wanting to see this country reopen.
We're so excited to have you, and like you said, I don't know if people caught that, but over 1 million people have requested tickets to come to this event.
What are you going to do with all these people that literally could be hundreds of thousands of people trying to come, and you've only got 19,000 seats indoors? What about all those other people? What are you going to do with them?
Well, there is an overflow crowd, but it really is a testament to people are ready to move on.
Look, I think you're evidenced, though, by seeing 1 million ticket requests for this rally in Tulsa. I think it's time to have a conversation about freedom and responsibility.
All right, we'll talk about the political implications of the president's sparse crowd in Tulsa. It wasn't going to be just a rally. It was supposed to be the relaunch of the president's ailing re-election campaign. Also, what he said during the rally, namely that we need to slow down coronavirus testing. The White House says he was just joking. A joke? At a time of 120,000 dead Americans and cases rising in growing hotspots around the country. The weekend also saw a standoff between the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, who has been overseeing investigations into some of Trump's associates. We'll talk to two veterans of the Southern District on that huge story still unfolding. And you'll be able to buy a copy of John Bolton's new book tomorrow after a judge rules the administration's request to block the book release is denied. In a new interview, Bolton says the company can survive one term of President Trump, but not two, okay? Also, somebody released Bolton's book on Twitter, so there you go. Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It is Monday, June 22nd. With us, we have White House reporter for the Associated Press, Jonathan Lemire. Political reporter for The Washington Post and MSNBC political analyst, Robert Costa. He's the moderator of Washington Week on PBS. And senior political correspondent for The Washington Examiner, David Drucker. He's also a contributing writer at Vanity Fair. What the Trump campaign hyped would be a raucous return to the campaign trail for President Trump turned out to be a major disappointment for the campaign. While the Trump re-election effort boasted it would fill the Bank of Oklahoma Center that seats more than 19,000 people, the Tulsa fire marshal tells NBC News that 6,200 supporters ultimately filled the general elections section of the enclosed arena. Trump campaign spokesman Tim Murtaugh blames small numbers on, quote, radical protesters, and the news media, who he said had frightened away supporters. But there were few protests in the area and no sizable effort to block entrances. And there was a strong security presence. According to The Times, some users of social media said on Saturday night that teenagers helped keep attendance at the rally down by seeking tickets they did not intend to use. TikTok and Twitter users posted that they had registered potentially hundreds of thousands of tickets for Trump's rally as a prank after the campaign tweeted asking supporters to register for free tickets. But Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale pushed back against those reports, issuing a statement yesterday saying the campaign weeded out tens of thousands of bogus cell phone numbers ahead of the rally. But, quote, these phony ticket requests never factor into our thinking for possible crowd size.
And also, as I think it was the Times or the Washington Post said, these are general admission events. If people want to get into the event, they can get into the event.
Well, they have to hit that disclaimer.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made a difference, but if they contracted coronavirus. Meanwhile, in an interview on Fox News yesterday, Trump campaign advisor Mercedes Schlapp argued that the turnout was lower than expected because the president's supporters were concerned about protests outside the venue turning violent.
The key here is that is important is to understand, and I had this with my own personal family who lives not far away from Tulsa, that they were concerned. There were factors involved, like they were concerned about the protesters who were coming in. There were protesters who blocked the mags. And so we saw that have an impact in terms of people coming to the rally.
The fact is the president talks about the attendance at his events. As we all know, he made a big issue of the attendance at his inauguration. He talks about how he can fill an arena and that Joe Biden can't. He didn't fill an arena last night, and you guys were so far off. Let me, if I may finish, and you guys were so far off that you had planned an outdoor rally, and there wasn't an overflow crowd. And watching the coverage and talking to Mark Meredith on the ground today, protesters did not stop people from coming to that rally. The fact is,
oh, absolutely, they did.
People didn't show up.
I'm telling you, there were people. I'm telling you, there were people and families that didn't want to, couldn't bring their children because of concerns of the protesters.
President Trump was reportedly left fuming over the lackluster attendance. Upon his arrival on Air Force One, Trump was, quote, furious and laid into his aides over the sparse crowds. For people familiar with what took place at the event tell the New York Times that the president was stunned and continued to yell at aides backstage while looking at the endless rows of empty seats. Two White House and campaign officials tell the Associated Press that Trump was upset that he had been led to believe he would see huge crowds in deep red Oklahoma. Officials note that although there was no sign of an imminent staff shakeup, members of Trump's inner circle angrily questioned how campaign manager Brad Parscale and other senior aides could so wildly overpromise and underdeliver.